Good afternoon and welcome to the Lake Stevens Chamber Brown Bag Lunch. The third Wednesday of every month at noon we meet at the Chapel Hill Fire Station, and this is a great opportunity where we provide free education to our chamber members that are interested in coming down and having a wonderful brown bag lunch with us. Today our guest speaker is Boren with American Family Insurance, and he's going to be talking with us about preparedness for national disasters, as September is FEMA Awareness Month. So, Boren.
Alright. Okay guys, well it's good to be able to do this. I know we're recording this for those of you that couldn't make it, so we'll see how this goes. I've got a very simple presentation. This, as you can imagine, the topic of emergency preparedness or disasters in general is a big one, and so we could go in depth and really delve into a lot of these topics, really deep for a long time. So what I'm doing is today we're going to do a really surface overview of some of the awareness, some of the facts surrounding disasters, how prepared you are or think you are or are not as Americans, and then just in Washington and local, some of the disasters we've seen. And then at the end, I'll give you guys some really good resources, and we'll walk through some of the websites that are free to you to get educated and to help you prepare and to help spread the word or the message of being prepared for disasters. So anyway, not the funnest of topics. We'll try not to make it too doom and gloomy. As we're talking about disasters. There's all sorts of disasters, that we can think of. Yeah, thanks. That's actually good enough. So, what are some of the disasters, maybe nationwide, that come to mind?
Mudslides.
Mudslides. Yeah,
Yes.
we were just talking about. Right. Yeah. What's another kind of disaster that we have? Earthquakes, yeah, Katrina, hurricanes. Fortunately, in Washington, we don't deal with hurricanes, but nationwide, yeah, a lot of those things. And just, watch the news, and somewhere around the world, something bad is happening. And so, we think sometimes more on that global scale of disasters being a worldwide issue because we see them on the news, and they're always somewhere else, right? The disasters always happen somewhere else, and we have this kind of fake perception of safety sometimes in our own world, especially here in comfy Lake Stevens. And so, see, there's a fire. We're in the fire station. See, it happens every day, right? So anyway, do you guys know where this is? Do you guys know what this is shot of?
Downtown.
Oh.
Downtown Emer.
Yeah,
you can
it's
see
Hewitt.
This is Hewitt Avenue right there. Maybe I want to get my pointer out. But yeah, that's Hewitt Avenue. That was within the last year, fairly recent. This was a group of businesses. I think there was some apartments and stuff up above, some businesses down below. Yeah, so real close to us. Right local. Like that's that's not even 10 miles away. How about this one?
Oh, high five.
Yeah, right. How often do you have freeway bridges fall into the river? Right. That's you read that in the book or newspaper and go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, yeah, it did make CNN. It was national news, and it happened not 30 miles north of here. We got those Canadian truck drivers tearing our bridges down. So anyway, that's close. How about this one? Do you guys know, this is, probably won't recognize the actual shot. This is up at Stevens Pass.
Oh.
So every year there's avalanches and stuff that happen at Stevens Pass. There's not a lot of buildings or businesses that it hurt, but this one actually killed 3 people that are fairly local to here, right? So again, what kind of disasters do we face? Sometimes it's not buildings and floods and fires. Sometimes it's just, you never know, and it's our time to go, right? And so we've got to, kind of be conscious about that. I love skiing and snowboarding. I've actually been in that bowl where that happened in past years, not that year, obviously, but so avalanches, not something that we would typically think of. Car accidents, right? This one's not a shot of Lake Stevens. I didn't put any Lake Stevens accidents up just in case we know some of them, but this intersection of Highway 9 coming through Lake Stevens is one of the most dangerous intersections in all of Highway 9, and we're talking all the way down to Woodinville to Canada. Right through Lake Stevens is the most dangerous stretch of car accidents. And so, anyway, so just something to be aware of. Again, as an insurance agent, I work for American Family Insurance and own the office here in Lake Stevens. This is something I deal with literally daily. I get emails on the daily of 1 or 2 or 3 of my clients that got in an accident. Luckily, the majority of accidents are very minor, and we're just working on who fixes the cars. But believe me, they happen, and I see them happen of people getting seriously injured. Lots of therapy or changing their career. They can't go do construction anymore. So sometimes these disasters can be bigger than we want. So let's see, what do we got here? This is, you tell what's going on there in the photo?
Flooding.
Yeah, that's all water, and normally that's like a downtown, and this is in the far-off land of Snohomish.
Oh gosh.
So we don't even think about things like that happening here. I remember when I first moved here, maybe 5-6 years ago. I'm from Marysville, right? So a long ways away. But when I moved to Lake Stevens, I had a friend. We were walking and cruising through down the walkway on Snohomish next to the river, and I was looking at the building, and there was markers. I was like, "What is that marker for?" And there was dates, and some of them were like 20-foot flood levels, and the building was actually scarred and flooded, and you could see the last time it was there. And we're talking about floods that happened in our decade, not floods that happened once a century. So yeah. Anyway, so stuff happens. How about this one? You might not recognize it, but we had like a certain percentage of our state on fire all summer this summer, right? This is another thing in insurance. We were watching literally, I mean, every quarter mile of that fire got closer. I had a list of clients that were in that area, and so luckily my agency got through without any fires, but I know homes were damaged. I know cities were evacuated. We did pay out claims because we had to evacuate certain cities, and so I had clients living in those areas, and then we had to pay and get them out of there because it wasn't safe. Okay, this isn't happening in California. This isn't Arizona, Utah, Nevada. This is in Washington, and I hope, guys, you see what he's trying to do here. First of all, I see how big the fire was. If you read some of the stats, I mean, it burned down thousands and thousands of acres, and this guy's emergency preparedness, his plan was a shovel, right? So, and I think that, ironically, I think that's a lot of how we deal with disasters. It's an after the fact, oh crap, what do I need to go get? I've got a shovel, or that's the best tool that I have. Let's go see what we can do. And it takes a lot of courage, and obviously he's trying to defend his farm or his land or his house or his family, and so it's a very honorable thing to do. But what's the plan, right? We want to make sure that everyone gets out of those, safely. This one, right? I'm sure we all recognize this one. We were talking about the Oso landslide. It's not every day that we're talking about whole chunks of the mountain sliding away. I know you mentioned you had people and people connected to your bank and stuff that were personally involved in that. I had a few deaths that I knew that were friends or best friends of my clients or clients' relatives, and so I didn't have any homes up there. This all used to be, houses, a fairly new development. But one of the people that I loosely kind of know is a client's best friend. She bought her house the day before, and she was the one that was having Comcast and electric hooks up. She had the utilities out to hook it all up because she was excited to live in her new house. Had the day off work, just moved in, and the next day that happened. So, again, we can do what we can do to be prepared for these scenarios, and sometimes the disaster, though, isn't safety or emergency preparedness. Sometimes it's how we planned or prepared our families or our business or our lives to handle even an unexpected death. And so disasters come in all shapes and sizes, and just understand that they do happen, and they're not always far off type things. I mean, they happen here to us. Right? Every single one of those pictures was something within an hour's drive of here, and I have basically connections to every single one of those disasters. That bridge that fell down, actually, that's the only place I've ever personally been in an accident, and I rear-ended someone on that bridge. So I promise I didn't hit it. I didn't have anything to do with it. But so we all know or have been involved in a tragedy, a disaster, or know someone who has. And so just understand that it happens closer to us than we would like. So the real question is your family prepared? Most importantly. I'm going to share some statistics with you. The truth is most of us aren't. Most of us aren't prepared. I'll also share some resources with you that really is going to make it a little bit hopefully helpful to you, but also embarrassing that there's so much information right at our fingertips. It's all for free, and we just don't take the time to take it seriously or actually better our family scenarios. So what are the things that we can do to prepare for a disaster? Here's some stats that I've found when I was putting this together. One, more than half of Americans do not have prepared copies of crucial documents. Guys, if your home burns down, everything goes with it. Okay, the paper, the file cabinet, most of the time the computer, the hard drive, it's gone. Okay, so what's the What's the backup plan? You got to go to the hospital and you don't have your copy of your insurance card. What's the plan, right? Where is the copy of your card? And whether it's in the cloud or some offsite, or your parents have copies, or you've emailed it to yourself, all those are great ideas and very easy and, again, free to us. But we should have a safe way to back up some of the important documents we need. If your wallet burns up in the fire, how are you going to go get money? Well, you have to be able to go do that without a debit card, without a Visa card. You have to have the documents, at least credible enough documents, saved so that you can go to your bank and get cash out in a worst case scenario, right? And so just understand that that's an important step that's very easy and most people don't take for granted, right? They'll get on Facebook and they'll have 2,000 pictures of life, but they don't take 4 seconds to take pictures of the things that would actually help them in the sake of a disaster. So I just thought that was shocking. It's a very good and easy idea. So here's another one. 48% of Americans lack emergency supplies for the use in the event of a disaster. Have you guys heard of the 72-hour kit? You heard of that term before? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have. I don't know why I have. We grew up and we always had one, and we liked to camp and backpack and stuff, so we always had 72-hour kits in a backpack just in the car or in the closet or somewhere where we could just grab it. And what's in it, guys, is like food for 3 days. They call it a 72-hour kit because you're supposed to have food for 3 days, water for 3 days. You should be able to carry it all. I don't really know that you need a boom box, but I think the idea behind that is you have a radio that would work, and it works. You see the batteries there. It works aside from plugging into the wall. In a true disaster, a lot of times there isn't electricity, and so you've got to be able to change, the comforts of our modern day life. The cell phone isn't going to work for long. You're going to get 1 day's use out of that, assuming that the circuits aren't all jammed up anyway. A lot of times, even in our Seahawks parade last year, the 911 circuits, the phone circuits were so busy with people posting Instagram and stuff, the emergency phone lines didn't work. Right? So you don't think about those things, but in a true emergency, trust me, everyone's calling someone, and they're jamming up the service. And so, you should text is actually the best way to get a message to your family in the sake of an emergency, because it goes through faster and more dependable, and you're not, again, the emergency crews and the police in the city, they need those phone lines so that they can organize, get the city evacuated in some cases. But anyway, 72-hour kit, have something to do. Right, games, a lot of us have little kids and stuff. We still got to live life and entertain them and feed them, and they got to be happy. And so even if that's in a tent, in a field somewhere, in a high school gymnasium, we still want to be able to have fun with them. And so have some games or books or whatever. Have flashlights and a way to get around. Candles are a great way. Have some matches. If it's cold, guess what? If there's no heat, there's no electricity, fire is the way to get warm, right? We got to do it like our ancestors did 10,000 years ago. And so you should know how to start a fire and have some lighter fluid or matches or whatever ready. Have some granola bars and cans of Spam and things that you can keep in there, your box of Twinkies for 2 years, and they're still good. But we should have all this in a backpack ready to go. You could spend less than $50, $60, have all of that done. You can go buy it at Walmart right now. It would take you less than an hour and a half, and just throw it in your closet. If you ever needed it, yes, we do live in America, we have FEMA, we have emergency disaster crews, we have a whole lot of support, but cut them some slack, right? It takes them sometimes longer than 3 days to get here. Does that make sense? So you should be ready for that initial, okay, what do we do? There's no utilities and whatever. I mean, sometimes it involves your house burning down or flooding and you're relocated, so you should be able to grab that, be mobile, and go. So anyway, about half of America doesn't have one of those. And I'll show you some resources here at the end that have a list of the things that you should buy in there, and you can print it out and take it to Walmart and go get it, take it to Costco. In fact, Costco, I think, sells 72-hour kits pre-built. So if you're really lazy, forget the list, just go there and go get one. So anyway, there's some resources there. So here's another one. If you have kids, more than half of parents do not have a designated meeting place in case of a disaster. If your home's no longer there and you have to move or evacuate, or your neighborhood's on fire, where do you meet? Right? Let's assume cell phones don't work, and where's your family going to meet? And that could be a church, it could be a park, it could be a family member, a neighbor's. But you should have a designated meeting place. This is where we are going if the neighborhood's leveled or for whatever type of reason. So anyway, again, only about half of us are prepared, right? And that's a very simple thing. That's a 5-second conversation with your children. And that's it. That's it. They'll remember. Trust me, if something happens, they'll remember you telling them that. And then you can meet there and know that your family's safe. And believe me, in a situation like that, the last thing you want to be worrying about is, where's my family, right? I mean, you need to know that they can meet up there and know that everyone's healthy and okay. George, another one back on cell phones. Sorry if it's hard to read. 42% of cell phone owners do not know all their immediate family members' phone numbers. I don't. I'm one of those. I don't memorize anything anymore because I don't have to. So I got one of those cell phone things, and I've got 2,000 people in there. I don't know anyone. I don't even know my wife's phone number. But again, let's assume that the cell phones don't work, and I got to borrow someone's cell phone, or mine was in the house that just burned down. Right? That person is not going to have my wife's phone number as much as I can tell Siri to, hey, call my wife. It's not going to work on someone else's phone. So we should have that written down somewhere. Keep it in your wallet, put it in your glove box. I mean, whatever you think's the safest way to do that, and not risk identity theft, I guess. But have those numbers. Work on memorizing those numbers. Your kids, they should know the numbers. They should know your address. They should know how to get in touch with you, assuming cell phones don't work. So anyway, that's another good one. So anyway, so there's some real quick links on the family. Again, towards the end of this, we'll hop into the websites and I'll show you some links that you can print out those tools. There's really like three websites that you need to know to be totally prepared. So here's the flip side of this. We want your family to be prepared first, but also there's a whole, if you own a business, which we're talking to the Chamber of Commerce here, most of us own a business or are running a business. If you work for a corporation like KeyBank or something, they probably have emergency plans given to you, and you have to once a year present them to your staff or whatever. If you have to do that every year?
Yes.
So it works for a few companies as well, and they're just kind of given to me, and it makes it sort of easy, but it also means I don't take it very seriously because I just have to have everyone sign off on this training. So the idea is your business prepared. Realize that there's multiple disasters that could happen, and so it could be flood, it could be fire, it could also be if you or your partner were to pass away for any reason, how does the business continue? If it's the business that's providing income to your family, sometimes life insurance is the way to protect that continuation of your business so that your family continue to generate an income. I know if I died, my wife has rights to continue running the agency. I also know she has no clue anything about insurance. She has no idea how to run the business. She runs the family. And so I would have to have her, she would have to have enough money to go hire someone to run it for her. She can still retain ownership. Again, these are things that you just need to think about. They're very simple fixes. I promise you're not the first one to identify an issue and not have a solution or not have a product or a policy or something to fix. So that's one of them. But let's talk some of the stats related to businesses. 1 in 4 businesses that close because of disaster never reopen. Okay, I was talking to a client yesterday. He has over $1.5 million in inventory. His whole business thrives on selling those parts in his online sales. It's a sell inventory. Very successful business. He's a very successful person. And we got a conversation, found out he does not have any insurance on that. And he was telling me, like, look, Aaron, like the thing that just wrenches my gut every night, I'm just terrified in my life. The biggest stress in my life is I worry that building's going to burn down and that my business just stops. He's in his late 50s. He doesn't have time to rebuild the business ground up like he did, and he doesn't have a plan, and he knows it. He's stressed out about it. So again, we have products and ways to take care of that. I happen to be an insurance agent, and so that's right up my alley. So call me and we can talk about some of those options. But the truth is that people that don't plan aren't ready for it. They can't react. In businesses, sometimes you're dealing with big enough dollar amounts, you can't just continue it. It takes big chunks of change to continue a business out of pocket. Okay. There's things to think about even your employees. If you run a staff of people, and let's say you can keep the business open, but what are they going to do in the 6 or 10 months that it takes to rebuild your building, right? Your business is essentially closed down, shut down. Can you afford to pay your employees for potentially a year or whatever? Can you pay them to keep them on board, or you're going to have to start fresh and redo training as soon as the building is back up and running? So there's, again, there's insurance for stuff like that. It's very simple and easy. That you pay your employees while the business is shut down so that you can retain all of your employees. Trust me, they'll be happy with the paid vacation. You'll be happy because you don't have to go retrain an entire staff. And your business, as soon as that building's done, you're ready to get back into it. And you get new computers and new desks and a brand new office, and everyone will be stoked. So here's another one. After a business experiences a major loss of data, again, most computers melt in the fire, just like anything else. But of those people, 51% fail within 2 years, and only 6% survive long term. So when we live in a fairly digital world, and it's only getting more so that way, I don't even have paper handouts for you because everything's online. So everything I have to give you is an email link, right? We're in a very digital society, so we need just to make sure that our digital data related to our business is safe, it's secure, and it's off-site, backed up in some shape or form. So something to think about. Again, in the insurance world, there is even loss of data recovery coverages, and so you can hire someone to go filter through your melted hard drives and try and recover data like that. It takes time and it's expensive, and so so anyway, we'd rather take care of that for you so you don't have to deal with it. So here's some of the free resources to you. There's really 3 websites, and I was a little prejudiced on one of them because it's my website. We put tons of resources on there for emergency preparedness. I'm not trying to sell products, which we can do obviously, but just resources to help people be educated about their options, how to make a 72-hour kit. All that stuff's on my website. For you business owners out there, preparemybusiness.org is a fantastic website, and it's super easy to navigate. And you can just go on there, and we'll actually click in here and go check it out. I'll show you. And ready.gov, G-O-V, that means it's a government website. So not as easy to navigate, but there's a ton of great information on it. So this is, oh, it looks like I clicked the wrong one. Let's do the ready.gov one. Maybe. Here we go. So that came up good. So this is the ready.gov. So check this out. You go to ready.gov, that's it, and you're going to get this Be Informed link, make a plan, build a kit. That's the 72-hour kit that I was talking about. How to get involved in your community. How do you find links to be one of those people that when OSO needs pallets of food, that you're loading up your cart at Costco to go put that on a pallet, right? There's people that actually volunteer and drive those pallets up there and actually go physically give them to the people. You can be one of those and help other people that have suffered from those disasters. There's links for your business, and then there's fun stuff too for their kids. So make this fun. If you've got little 5-year-olds, trust me, you're going to have to make a game out of memorizing phone numbers. You're going to have fun with them about an emergency plan. And so if we hit any one of these links, there's the community plans, which you can call Lake Stevens, and there's a list of questions here. Let's link on that. So there's a list of questions here that you can ask the city and make sure that the city's plan is up to standards. What is the plan, right? Would we have to evacuate Lake Stevens if we did? What's the plan? If we had disaster relief shelters, where are they? What schools are the disaster shelters? So there's all sorts of stuff there. If we go to the make a plan, again, plan for the risks, consider for, and it gives you a whole bunch of different options. Let's see if I can find the one over there. Yeah, this is talking about, this is really just education. A lot of this is just, you got to take the time if you're interested to read through, and do this. Let's see. So building a kit. So on the left here, kit storage locations, maintain your kit, basic disaster supply list. Okay, so here's a list. You got the additional emergency supplies there, first aid kit list, supplies for unique needs. You got to think about if you've got someone that's handicapped or have a disability or is deaf or in a wheelchair. It changes what the plan is for you or your family. So anyway, there's just so much information on here. It's really unreal. I had no clue when I was putting this all together. There's just links under every single tab, and they're all good. It's not repetitive. It's not the same paragraph on every single tab. This is a really good resource for you to get educated. Check this out. There's a lot of PDF downloadable files, and so you just click that. You can download, print it off, make it a fun little family night, and you can do some of the planning as a family if you've got kids in the house, or even if you don't. And they've got little games and cute worksheets and stuff like that for the kids. So anyway, that's a great website. The other one that we're going to go to is that preparemybusiness.org. I was thinking. So I already have that one up, which is right here. So preparemybusiness.org. Check this out. It's the same thing on the left. There's the home tab, which says, hey, congrats, here's some scary statistics, and then keep reading, right? And so what they have is some planning tools, some education tools, some testing tools, disaster assistance. Really awesome website. Again, they have downloadable forms. Check out all of these are PDFs. This is just in the tab am I in here? Is in the planning tab. And you can go through it and have a communication plan, which is memorizing all the phone numbers and stuff like that, where you need disaster recovery kit, unique supplies, tabletop test, that's earthquake type stuff. So get into there, and you can really have your family super prepared. There's even videos and stuff on here. Check this out on the education side. There is a schedule that runs throughout the year on free webinars that you can just log in and watch for free. And you're actually getting information straight from the experts, not from an insurance agent. And they're going to give you, more detailed information on how to specifically, deal with social media in a disaster type situation. So, again, like I said, in any one of these topics, we could really go on for an hour or so on any one of these and delve in deep. So, and this is what they've done, and that's why I'm not going to do that. So, anyway, so that's a great tool. And then the next one is, let's go to my website. It's AaronBorenAgency.com. Okay, ignore that up there. Type in AaronBorenAgency.com and it'll take you right to here. You see my pretty face there. It's a video actually on anything but an iPad, so don't get scared if I start talking to you. But right up here, there's some information about our agency, the products, and then right here is really where I want to point you to. If you were a client, you could follow claims, make payments, and you have a whole profile and stuff. It's a pretty slick website. But go to the Learning Center, right in the middle, and check this out. This is, again, not me hustling products to you. This is not a sales page. This is information as it relates to your family, your car, your home, your money, security, your business, videos, what your coverages are. Let's just look at business, and we'll click on Learn More. And we've got some intro stuff, but we've got, check it out, emergency planning. There's some checklists, PDFs. There's some videos that you can watch, some ideas for growing your business, preventing injuries and damage. A lot of the business type stuff is preventative. You've got links to OSHA that will come out and do inspections, and you've got to meet certain safety standards, and depending on your business, they're more or less applicable to you depending on what you do. Protecting your bottom line. How do you survive a disaster financially and get through? And that kind of ties into some of the insurance and the plan we do ahead. But again, that's all just educational. If we wanted to let's look at your home, and we'll just click on the home and see what kind of links are here. So here we've got the same thing, fire safety. It's one of the biggest reasons. I mean, they used to call homeowners insurance, they used to call fire insurance. I mean, it's by far, when you look at totaled homes, total loss, it's always fire. Floods cause damage, water causes damage, but it's the fire that really can take away everything. And I've had some personal friends and clients have to deal with that. So here's some ways that if you have a fireplace, no problem, have a fireplace, we don't care, it's great. Just how do you take care of it? How do you clean your chimney? How often should you do it? Here's some resources to do it. There's even links. You can go to a website and hire someone to go do it. You can do that all from my website here. Seasonal preparations. This is a good one. We're pretty temperate out here, but there's 3 or 4 days a year where we dip below freezing. And guess when my phone blows up as an insurance agent, I guarantee you it's like the 5th day of that below freezing when the water unfreezes and starts running all through the garage and stuff. So I always have people that don't put the little foam things over their faucet and their pipes freeze over and break, and then it starts flooding, and it's always a big, scary, urgent rush to get that taken care of. But your roof as well, we've got kind of unique moss conditions out here. Moss likes to grow, and there's information on how that can damage your shingles and make a 50-year roof really only a 20-year roof because of the damage it causes. It ages it faster. Indoor protection, we got kids and stuff, but you're not supposed to do a power strip into a power strip into a power strip. That kind of stuff will catch your house on fire. So, so anyway, all sorts of tips and stuff. Again, you can get into your family, your car, your home. It's really, again, not to toot my own horn or whatever, but there is a ton of information there, and I want it there so that people are using it. I want it there so that my clients are educated about what to do and how to keep their families safe and not have to deal with, be more prepared when a disaster does hit. So, next steps. What do we need to do? Really, this is something that you should do is revisit your situation annually. Plans change, life changes, you could move, family could grow in size, family could get smaller in size. Lots of things can change, and so annually is a good time to just revisit these things. Update your family on where the meeting spot is, right? And like quiz them on who memorized whose phone numbers for real, right? We can do some of those things that are really, really simple. The other thing is, I would review your insurance annually. This is something that industry-wide, a lot of agencies aren't going to offer that to you. It's important for you to be proactive and call your agent and make him go over your stuff annually. You'd be surprised what you'll learn when you revisit it. I'm not worried about, don't stress about your policies day in, day out. That's what I do and why you hire me. But if your agent is not offering an annual review, which my agency does, you need to request one. Make them sit down with your agent, educate you. You'll learn stuff. You learn stuff when we sat down and talked. Very, 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 very seldom, if ever, have I had a client come spend an hour with me and not learn anything, and not go, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, well, let's change that, or oh, I need to buy more, or let's take that off then. So it's important for you to be able to do that, and then update your emergency planning as well. Annually, I think is a good goal. Use your expert resources to identify risks. The truth is, we're not all emergency preparedness experts, right? We're just moms. We work part-time, or we're a teller, or we're a manager at a local business, or we own a small business, or we clean windows for a living. We're not emergency disaster preparedness experts. We're not. Okay, that's what the websites are for. Use the ready.gov website and go there and use those. Use your insurance agent. If your insurance agent isn't an expert and doesn't really understand the coverage well enough, get a new agent. Have someone in your corner that is an expert, and use them to make sure that your risks are covered in every type of disaster situation. Prioritize. This is a big one because as we go through the list, our life is obviously most important. The life of us and our family, right? That makes common sense. Our health is important, right? We should be worried about our health and staying healthy and getting our checkups and dealing, if we have cancer and need surgeries or are struggling through things, get through them, right? That stuff's more important than pretty much the rest of this. Water's super, super important, right? We can go like 5 weeks without food. We can only go a few days without water, right? So water's important. So we should have a plan. Where are you going to get your water from if something were to happen, right? Do you have a storage? You can go buy a 50-gallon drum, treat it, and keep water in there for a year or 2 years. It's like $50. So do you have a water source? Food, right? We can go about a month, maybe maybe a little bit longer if we had to, but we should have some backup food, some type of food storage, canned foods, things that aren't non-perishable type of food, so that we have that ready. Our shelter, our homes are important. If there's a way that we can better protect our homes or help them survive a disaster better, or be decisive about where we put a home. Is it below somewhere where they just strip log the entire mountain, right? There's a certain risk associated with putting a home there versus a home right next to the river. While it might be pretty during the summer months, could cause problems and potentially big problems during the winter months when there's a ton of water coming down there. So understand that protecting our home, our shelter, our home is important. Our business, when I say business or maybe income, if our business is what is helping meet these on a day-to-day basis, we need to protect it. We need to make sure that it's there for us day in, day out for the rest of our lives, right? I know a lot of business owners, and I'm one of them, and we put our heart and soul into our business. It's everything. To have that just yanked away and have to start over is just, it's not something you want to have to go through in your life. And then we've got things, right? Your phone and your iPad and your TV and your cars and your furniture. That stuff doesn't really mean anything, right? I mean, if you really had to break down and think about it, that stuff doesn't mean anything. It's the family and the life, make sure everyone's healthy and we've got food and we've got shelter. That's what's important. So here's what I challenge people on it. You should prioritize yourself, but understand this. I'm an insurance agent. I see this all the time. We spend thousands of dollars a year to make sure that our cell phone is insured and that our car is insured and that we spend so much money on insuring our things that we forget that the shelter is more important. Insure your home, right? I mean, even if you own your home, you should insure it. You couldn't rebuild it on your own, so you should insure your home. But food storage and stuff, we focus so much in definitely our, modern day society on this crap. We should be focused on insuring our life and having life insurance and health insurance, having our food storage, insuring our home, insuring our business, and then let's worry about the things that don't really mean much. So that would be my advice, is just to prioritize. Everyone's situation is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all thing, but prioritize your life that makes sense and act now. The truth is we don't know when the next disaster is going to happen. We don't know what's coming next. We don't know what's already planned or in store for us or whatever. And so we just need to be ready for it all. And you'll know when your house is on fire if you've prepared or not. You'll know if you get in a car accident if you're prepared or not. You'll know if you didn't prepare. And I get a lot of frantic phone calls throughout a month of, crap, does my coverage do this? Do I have this? And my wife just got sick, and did we get that life insurance thing in place? And I get a lot of those. You don't want to, in a stressful situation dealing with a disaster, you don't want to make it more stressful just because you didn't plan or just because we didn't put some type of plan in place. So that's really what we should do. And here's my info. I have American Family Insurance. I'm across the street from Target. There's my contact information if you need any more from me, or I can email you those links, or again, use me and I'll be your expert resources related to insurance or emergency preparedness, or you want to go buy a 72-hour get together, let's go do it. So anyway, that's all I got. Any questions?
No.
Solid. Covered it. Okay.
Thank you so much
So
for coming and speaking today. On just a couple of really quick notes, what Aaron was talking about is, there are a lot of things that we can do to help prepare our families. And with me working in the financial services, I see the other end of the spectrum. I see the people that aren't prepared. And so it is always a good thing to have a will in place, have a trust in place, have that stuff in place for your family, because as Aaron said before, we never know when our time is up, and we don't want to leave our families in a worse hardship. Probate in Washington State is not friendly to families, unfortunately, and believe it or not, banks still have safe deposit boxes. So as Aaron said, get those important documents, get your birth certificates, car titles, all that stuff, get it out of your house and get it into a safe deposit box where it's safe. So if something does happen to your home, you know that you can go to the bank and all those important articles that are super hard to get together again because you can't identify yourself, or you don't have the monies maybe or the energy to go down and do it. You know that is safe and secure, as well as it's a great place to put your life insurance policies. That way your family knows what coverage did you have, where was it at. And one of the things when I first met Aaron a year and a half ago, we were, chatting just through some different opportunities, and he offered to review my insurance for free, and I went down and said okay. And I had been with my insurance agent for quite a few years. I was pretty happy with him, and lo and behold, I was completely underinsured. And so it's one of those things that you don't really think about it until somebody sits down and explains it to you. And just remember that most of the cars that are traveling out on the roads now are $30,000 to $50,000. And so if, as they always say, the mayhem, if mayhem happens to you and you have your cut rate insurance, you're not going to have that proper coverage. And so really just taking the time to review what you have and make sure you have life insurance in place to protect your family is really important during situations like this, because they're emotionally stressful, and then having those extra burdens really don't help. So thank you very much for your education today. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll see everybody next month.